The night was quiet. For millions around the globe, it was just another evening scrolling through feeds, catching up on stories, and unwinding from the day. And then it happened. A notification popped up on thousands of phones simultaneously. The Instagram account of 50 Cent, infamous for stirring controversy and dropping truths no one else dared, had posted something cryptic. A single line, short but explosive. Unreleased files coming soon. Things you've never seen might change everything. Within minutes, the post had gone viral. Screens lit up across bedrooms, offices, and city streets. Twitter exploded with hashtags. Number 50 Cent files. Number Diddy exposed. Number end of defense. TikTok users started dissecting every detail, every word, every emoji in the post. Instagram stories flooded with speculation. Some claimed 50 Cent was teasing a documentary. Others were convinced he was about to reveal evidence that could shatter Diddy's long-standing legal defense. And no one, absolutely no one, knew exactly what the files contained. The social media storm was immediate and relentless. Millions of users shared screenshots, adding their theories. Influencers jumped on live streams, analyzing potential angles, past feuds, and cryptic hints 50 Cent had dropped months before. Even casual fans of music and celebrity culture were pulled into the frenzy. The world had become a digital courtroom overnight, with social media as the judge and jury. The significance of these posts wasn't lost on the public. Diddy, one of the most powerful figures in the music and business world, had faced legal battles and controversies for decades, but he had managed to maintain a carefully controlled public image. Rumors, lawsuits, and documentaries had come and gone, each leaving its mark on his empire, but nothing like this. The mere hint of unreleased files suggested that there was evidence, possibly damning evidence, that had never surfaced. Could these files contain recordings, financial documents, emails, or other proof that might finally crack the armor of one of entertainment's most untouchable figures? News outlets were quick to pick up on the post. Headlines screamed about the potential implications. Legal analysts and media commentators weighed in, attempting to parse meaning from the vague yet threatening message. Some suggested the files could overturn prior statements, contradict testimony, or expose undisclosed transactions. Every expert agreed on one thing. If these files were real, the consequences could be monumental. The public's curiosity was matched only by their anxiety. What if decades of secrets were about to unravel? Now it's your turn. What do you think these unreleased files contain? If you were the judge overseeing this case, would you pause to examine every piece of evidence carefully, or would you act immediately without waiting? And if you were in Diddy's position, how would you handle this storm? Comment below with your thoughts. Every opinion counts. Don't forget to share this video with friends and hit subscribe for more breaking updates, insider theories, and explosive revelations. Let's see how the world would react if the truth finally came out. Fans didn't wait for answers, they started investigating themselves. Old court documents were reviewed, interviews analyzed, and previous leaks re-examined. Every subtle hint from 50 Cent in prior posts or public appearances was dissected for hidden meaning. Some pointed to past collaborations, old disputes, and even Diddy's business dealings, constructing elaborate timelines in anticipation of the files. Social media had become an amateur investigative hub, filled with speculation, excitement, and fear. Meanwhile, 50 Cent remained elusive. No further details were given, no release date, no explanation. Just a post, a tease, and the hint of explosive content. That alone was enough to dominate global conversation. Celebrities, journalists, and fans alike were left wondering, was this a promotional stunt or a prelude to revelations that could shake the very foundation of Diddy's public and legal persona? As the hours passed, the story grew. Analysts began drawing comparisons to high-profile cases where previously unseen evidence had changed the trajectory of legal battles. Examples of leaked documents, hidden video footage, or undisclosed financial records were cited as potential outcomes. The weight of possibility hung over the narrative. The world could be witnessing the beginning of a turning point, and with each passing hour, the pressure mounted. No one knew what would happen next. The anticipation was almost unbearable. The files were coming, or at least that's what 50 Cent wanted the world to believe. People stayed glued to their screens, refreshing feeds, waiting for the first hint of revelation. The quiet of the night had been shattered by the promise of chaos, intrigue, and exposure. In every home, office, and city street, the question lingered. What did 50 Cent know that no one else did? And more importantly, was this the moment that could finally end Diddy's defense once and for all? The world was watching, waiting, and bracing itself. A storm was coming, and no one could predict how devastating it would be. By morning, the storm had intensified. News outlets, both local and international, had picked up on the social media frenzy. Headlines screamed about 50 Cent, hinting at unreleased files that could potentially unravel Diddy's defenses. Legal analysts speculated on the contents, while fans and influencers created elaborate theories, timelines, and what-if scenarios. Social media had transformed into a battlefield of opinions, predictions, and heated debates. Every post, comment, and reaction fueled the narrative, spreading it like wildfire across platforms. Celebrities weighed in cautiously. Some hinted that they had heard rumors, others shared cryptic messages of support, and a few publicly questioned the timing of the leak. Every mention, every subtle gesture, every tweet became evidence in the court of public opinion. The anticipation was no longer just about curiosity. It had become a cultural phenomenon. People were not merely waiting for the files. They were living and breathing the tension, collectively holding their breath for what might come next. Legal experts began outlining potential scenarios. Some speculated that 50 Cent's files could include financial documents or contracts that might contradict previous testimonies. Others suggested recordings, phone calls, private conversations, or even unreleased videos could exist, capable of changing the narrative completely. Analysts warned that if the files contained credible evidence, Diddy's decades of careful public image management and legal maneuvering could be severely threatened. The stakes were higher than anyone had anticipated. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories ran rampant. Some claimed the files could expose hidden alliances, business deals gone wrong, or even secrets involving other celebrities. Others speculated that this was a move to force Diddy into settlement negotiations or legal admissions before any official litigation could take place. The uncertainty, the mystery, and the absence of concrete information were driving people into a frenzy, and every detail, real or imagined, was dissected with obsessive attention. Diddy's camp, however, remained silent. No statements, no denials, no reassurances. The absence of response only added fuel to the fire. Journalists interpreted the silence in multiple ways: confidence in Diddy's legal team, fear of exposure, or a calculated strategy to let the storm pass without acknowledgement. The world had never seen Diddy so quiet during a crisis of this magnitude. For someone accustomed to controlling narratives and dominating headlines, silence was an anomaly, and it did not go unnoticed. Social media influencers quickly turned the event into content. Live streams, reaction videos, TikTok breakdowns, and Instagram stories poured in. Fans analyzed every frame of past interviews, every word from prior press conferences, and even subtle facial expressions from public appearances. The hunt for clues became a collective effort. Every rumor was traced, every past controversy revisited. Digital detectives everywhere were determined to uncover what might be hidden in the unreleased files. Amid the frenzy, 50 Cent remained in control. The post alone had sparked global attention, yet he provided no follow-up, no teaser clips, no screenshots, no hints beyond the initial message. This strategic silence created an air of inevitability, as though the revelation of the files was not a question of if, but when. And in the waiting, people's imaginations ran wild. The unknown became more powerful than any confirmed fact. Corporate sponsors, media companies, and entertainment platforms monitored the situation closely. Advertisers calculated potential impacts. News networks weighed the opportunity for exclusive coverage, and production teams speculated about documentary tie-ins. The leak, or the promise of a leak, had not only captured public attention, but it had also disrupted the business landscape. Everyone wanted a piece of the story, but no one could predict what the files would contain. As the hours turned into days, the pressure intensified. Legal teams quietly prepared for any possible fallout, while fans continued their speculative analysis. The world had collectively shifted into a state of anticipation, caught between disbelief and obsession. In homes, offices, and online spaces, the question persisted. What did 50 Cent know? And how would the unreleased files change everything that people thought they knew about Diddy? The stage was set, tensions were at an all-time high. Every tweet, every post, every speculation added weight to the inevitable moment when the files would finally surface. And the world waited, anxiously, for the storm that 50 Cent had promised, a storm that could shatter reputations, reveal hidden truths, and perhaps, finally, tip the scales of justice. As the days passed, subtle clues began appearing in the shadows of the internet. Anonymous posts on forums hinted at partial knowledge of the unreleased files, with vague references to dates, locations, and names. Fans dissected these cryptic messages, cross-referencing them with past events, interviews, and public appearances. Every lead, no matter how small, became a puzzle piece in a sprawling digital mystery. It was as if the world had transformed into a giant detective board, pins and strings connecting speculations, rumors, and half-truths. Some analysts suggested that the files might include hidden financial statements revealing discrepancies in Diddy's business dealings. Others speculated about unreleased footage that could contradict prior public statements or challenge Diddy's credibility. Each theory carried potential consequences, both legally and socially, making every speculation feel like a ticking time bomb. The unknown became a source of obsession. People were no longer merely curious. They were desperate for any hint of the truth. Meanwhile, 50 Cent remained a master of timing and control. Despite the frenzy, he released no additional comments, no previews, and no confirmations about the authenticity or content of the files. Every public appearance, social media post, or interview was analyzed for hidden meaning. Some claimed to detect subtle smirks or glances that hinted at inside knowledge. Others suggested that even the timing of his posts was a calculated strategy to maintain suspense. In this digital age, absence had become as powerful as presence. Speculation spilled over into mainstream media. Talk shows debated potential outcomes. News anchors discussed legal ramifications, and journalists dug into historical cases involving high-profile leaks. The story became impossible to ignore. Analysts warned that if the files contained concrete evidence of misconduct, Diddy could face consequences far beyond reputational damage. Legal, financial, and social fallout could be severe. Every mention of the files sent shivers down the spines of entertainment moguls and lawyers alike. The internet, however, thrives on rumor and amplification. Every unverified piece of information spread like wildfire, fueling the frenzy. Fans compiled lists of every potential lead, past lawsuits, failed business deals, and even personal conflicts that might be referenced in the unreleased files. Social media algorithms amplified posts with speculation and sensational claims, creating echo chambers where assumptions became accepted truths. By the hour, the line between rumor and reality blurred beyond recognition. Amid the chaos, Diddy's silence persisted. Legal teams prepared for any possible exposure, while publicists worked behind the scenes to strategize damage control. Every contingency was discussed, from early settlements to preemptive denials. Yet, in the public eye, Diddy's lack of engagement only added fuel to the inferno. Fans debated the meaning of this silence endlessly. Was it confidence, fear, or simply a calculated move to let speculation spiral out of control? Meanwhile, the world watched 50 Cent like a hawk. Every interview he gave, every social media update, and every appearance at events was scrutinized for clues. Analysts dissected his tone, timing, and even body language, searching for hints about the nature of the files. For many, 50 Cent had become the puppet master of a spectacle, controlling the narrative without revealing a single concrete detail. The tension grew, palpable across digital spaces worldwide. The leak, or the promise of a leak, also had a cultural impact. Memes, parody videos, and fan theories flourished. Internet communities created countdowns and speculative analyses, turning anticipation into entertainment. The phenomenon became more than a potential scandal. It became a global event that captured attention across generations and demographics. The files, whether real or hypothetical, had already begun to shape perception, public discourse, and media coverage. Then came the whispers of insider accounts. Alleged sources claimed that the files contained not just documents, but conversations, messages, and interactions that had been hidden from public view. Some mentioned private meetings, strategic decisions, and financial dealings, all potentially painting a picture of Diddy that no one had seen before. While authenticity could not be verified, the claims alone intensified the frenzy. Every rumor added pressure, and every speculation became another layer in an ever-growing narrative. As the world held its collective breath, the stakes could not have been higher. For fans, media, and legal experts, the unreleased files were no longer hypothetical, they were inevitable. The anticipation had become unbearable, and every moment of silence, every subtle hint, every piece of gossip was magnified beyond measure. The story was no longer just about Diddy or 50 Cent. It had become a global spectacle, a digital storm where truth and rumor collided violently. And through it all, one question remained, echoing across headlines, tweets, and live streams worldwide. When would the files be revealed, and would the truth finally emerge, changing everything people thought they knew about one of the most powerful figures in entertainment history? By now, the anticipation surrounding the unreleased files had reached a fever pitch. Every corner of the internet seemed alive with speculation, and news outlets ran continuous coverage, dissecting each rumor and possible revelation. Analysts debated the timing. Why had 50 Cent hinted at these files now? And what could their release mean for Diddy's defense? The tension was palpable, a mix of curiosity, fear, and excitement gripping fans worldwide. No one could predict the outcome, and that uncertainty only heightened the frenzy. Inside the entertainment industry, whispers became urgent discussions. Lawyers, agents, and executives speculated about the contents of the files, trying to assess whether they could undermine Diddy's reputation or legal standing. Some suggested that they might contain emails, texts, or financial records that could be damning. Others argued that 50 Cent's timing was strategic, designed to destabilize Diddy's public image long before any official release. Regardless, the speculation created a domino effect, putting everyone on high alert. Meanwhile, 50 Cent continued to play the role of the unseen orchestrator. He remained largely silent publicly, but every social media post, every interview clip, and every casual remark was dissected for hidden meaning. Fans scoured timestamps, hashtags, and even emojis, trying to uncover clues about the contents of the files. Some claimed that 50 Cent's subtle hints aligned with known business moves or past conflicts, fueling theories about what might be exposed. The masterful control of perception turned anticipation into an art form, keeping the world on edge. On social media platforms, fan-driven investigations reached a near-obsessive level. Threads with thousands of comments connected dots between historical events, past business deals, and even personal relationships. Every revelation, real or imagined, was analyzed and shared widely. Memes and speculations proliferated faster than any traditional reporting could contain, creating a digital culture of suspense that transcended news coverage. The story had become bigger than any one platform or media outlet. It was a global phenomenon. In the midst of the frenzy, Diddy's response, or lack thereof, was scrutinized relentlessly. Publicists, legal teams, and advisors debated every possible reaction, from issuing a statement to preemptively releasing counterinformation. Every misstep could be amplified by millions of people waiting for confirmation of the file's content. The silence, while intentional, created a vacuum that speculation filled with unprecedented intensity. For fans and critics alike, the unknown had become irresistible. Legal experts weighed in with their own analyses, discussing possible implications if the files contained verifiable evidence. Some predicted financial repercussions, lawsuits, or contractual disputes that could shake the foundations of Diddy's business empire. Others suggested that reputational damage alone could be catastrophic, especially in a digital age where public perception can shift dramatically in a matter of hours. The mere threat of exposure became a tool of influence, shaping behavior, negotiations, and public statements even before any files were released. Simultaneously, the rumor mill expanded beyond traditional entertainment boundaries. International media outlets picked up the story, translating speculation and analysis into countless languages. Social media trends surged globally, making it impossible to avoid the narrative. Discussions appeared not only among fans but also among industry insiders, investors, and celebrities. The files had transformed from a potential scandal into a cultural event that captivated attention worldwide. Amid this chaos, the authenticity of the files became a point of contention. Some insiders claimed that the documents and recordings could be altered or incomplete, while others argued that any information, real or fabricated, would have massive implications. The uncertainty fueled a unique dynamic. The files' power existed even before they were verified, creating tension that influenced behavior, strategy, and perception across multiple spheres. Every rumor, every hint, and every theory contributed to a global narrative with stakes higher than ever. Meanwhile, fan communities created timelines and digital watch parties, eagerly counting down to any potential release. The anticipation was not passive. It was active, participatory, and deeply immersive. People shared theories, predictions, and possible outcomes, collectively building a narrative that merged speculation with expectation. The suspense became a shared experience, connecting millions in a network of anticipation and obsession. And through it all, one undeniable truth emerged. The unreleased files had become more than just a possible revelation. They had become a global force, shaping conversation, perception, and behavior in ways no one could have predicted. As the countdown intensified, the world waited for the moment of truth, knowing that the release, whenever it came, would change everything. The tension finally broke when the first leak appeared online. It was subtle at first, an anonymous post on a forum, quickly picked up by social media. The snippet didn't reveal everything, but it was enough to ignite a firestorm. Screenshots of emails and brief video clips circulated instantly, each more tantalizing than the last. Fans dissected every detail, replayed every second, and scrutinized every line of text. Within hours, it became clear. The unreleased files were real, and their impact could be massive. As the leak spread, experts rushed to analyze its credibility. Digital forensics teams examined metadata, timestamps, and the source of the leak, trying to verify authenticity. Some concluded that the files were legitimate, while others cautioned that even partial manipulation could occur. Regardless of the debate, the damage or anticipation of it was already unfolding. Public perception was shifting by the minute, fueled by unverified yet compelling evidence that suggested Diddy's defense might be under unprecedented strain. Media outlets went into overdrive. News programs, podcasts, and online publications dissected the leak from every angle. Headlines screamed, speculation ran rampant, and the story dominated trending topics worldwide. Analysts debated possible implications for Diddy's legal and business positions, while fans created timelines, mapping out the alleged events in painstaking detail. Each revelation, no matter how small, was amplified and magnified, creating an environment where rumor and fact blurred into a single narrative of anticipation and tension. Meanwhile, Diddy's camp faced unprecedented pressure. Publicists, attorneys, and advisors convened emergency meetings to assess strategy, weighing the risks of silence against the potential fallout of public response. Every word, gesture, and action was scrutinized in real time, with fans and critics alike interpreting even minor movements as indicative of guilt or confidence. The challenge was immense. The leak had created a storm that could not easily be contained, and the world was watching closely to see how Diddy would respond. Inside the digital sphere, social media became a battleground of opinion. Fans took sides, creating viral threads, analyzing the contents, sharing interpretations, and speculating about the implications. Hashtags surged in popularity, trending across platforms within minutes. Memes, videos, and discussion threads spread like wildfire, ensuring that even casual observers were swept up in the frenzy. The leak transformed from a private revelation into a public spectacle, shaping conversations far beyond the original context. The content of the leak itself was selective, strategically revealing just enough to create maximum impact while leaving critical questions unanswered. Observers noted inconsistencies and gaps, sparking debates over what was authentic and what might have been withheld. Yet the ambiguity was intentional, fueling curiosity, speculation, and anxiety in equal measure. By withholding full disclosure, the leak leveraged the power of uncertainty, demonstrating that sometimes the threat of exposure can be as potent as exposure itself. Meanwhile, legal experts debated the potential consequences. Could these files be admissible in court? Would they influence ongoing investigations or future lawsuits? Some argued that even unverified leaks could have reputational consequences that far outweighed any immediate legal impact. Every analyst, every journalist, and every fan seemed to weigh the potential fallout differently. But one thing was unanimous. The narrative was now irreversible, And Diddy's defense, however prepared, was facing unprecedented scrutiny. On the streets, the leak fueled conversation that transcended traditional media. People discussed the files in cafes, offices, and classrooms, sharing theories and opinions with increasing fervor. The story had become a cultural event, a shared moment of suspense that united people across demographics and geographies. The files were no longer just evidence, they had become a symbol of influence, control, and the power of information in a digital age. And yet, despite the chaos, 50 Cent remained a ghostly presence behind the scenes. His occasional social media posts and cryptic messages only deepened the suspense, creating a sense that every revelation was meticulously orchestrated. Fans speculated on his motives, his timing, and his next move, unable to resist the magnetic pull of the unfolding drama. The tension between anticipation and revelation became a game of psychological chess, with the world watching every move. As the hours turned into days, the first leak set the stage for what promised to be a cascade of revelations. Public interest reached a fever pitch, media coverage intensified, and Diddy's team worked around the clock to manage perception. The narrative had shifted from speculation to reality, but the full story remained tantalizingly out of reach. And in that gap, the space between what was known and what could be revealed, the power of the unreleased files grew exponentially, leaving the world in a state of relentless, breathless anticipation.